Hey everybody, welcome to the Growing with Fishes podcast, episode 143. This week we have BioCat Grow More with us. Thanks a lot for joining us, Brendan.
Hello.
We also have Mr. Green Jeans with us. How's it going?
Hey, glad to be here. What's up, you guys?
We got Roger from ILGM.
How y'all doing tonight?
We got Tara Lee Live.
Good evening, everyone.
How's it going? Awesome. Quick announcements real quick before we get started. Josh and I from Dutch Blooms will be teaching an Aquaponic commercial Aquaponic cannabis class in Bellingham, Washington on June 6th through 9th. We will be making a large portion of a commercial system together. We'll be building a whole bed out together, as well as going over the plumbing for the rest of the system that's already going to be partially put together when we get there. We'll go through a long presentation. Josh has over 2,000 plants that we're going to get a chance to look at between his clones and everything that's in production. So you'll get a chance to see plants in all life stages, all different types of cultivars. If you want to try and understand more about the different variations or different mutations or different things to look out for, positive and negative, it's a really good experience. And it's also on a DEM Pure certified farm. So you're really getting a really unique kind of experience there. We'll have barbecues in the evenings and a little cookout in the evenings with a campfire and everything, and real good experience if you want to come out and just learn more about cannabis, hands-on with thousands of plants. You'll get a chance to do anything that your heart desires. So be sure to check that out at commercialapmjclass.com. Thanks a lot for joining us, Brendan. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your company and about BioCat Grow More and some of the cool stuff that you guys have been cooking up?
Well, I stumbled upon BioCat Solutions and some guys that I met, and then we had a product that we were playing with. So we said, let's brew it up, basically a massive, long, slow-term brewer of microbials, and we somehow got ourselves in line with a European company that was doing something similar. We worked together. Long story short, we have a microbial solution which is cost effective that has over 600 different species of microbials, but yet they don't destroy each other and they work in tandem. Even after 30 days and taking another lab test, the difference was 2% from what the original batch was when we released it. So in the microbial world, to have over 600 species coexisting is pretty much unheard of.
Yeah, that's really wild. So tell us about some of the microbes that are in there.
It's predominantly bacteria. There's some archaea. There's other eukaryotes, other ancient species of bacteria, ones you don't find in a lot of places. And what we stumbled upon is that this blend will break down any buildup in your lines, will break down anything complex in your soil, microchelate it, feed themselves and everything around them. So really how you decompact soils, how you open up lands that have been like clay packed and baked, is you need these species to open it back up and aerate it so roots can penetrate. And on indoor growers, like with your fish, for example, our guys are using the fish that they just put a mild solution in, and they don't have any kind of buildup on their lines. The fish are perfectly healthy and happy. There's no, even any pathogenic buildup on the fish sometimes. They even eat that without damaging the fish. So it's pretty cool. Obviously, this exists in the deep ocean, not in the same blend, but some of these species you just don't find. They'll break down things and they just turn it back into available plant food.
So a lot of people out there maybe haven't heard of archaea before. Can you explain what archaea are? Because a lot of people know what bacteria, fungi are, but they maybe never heard of that.
Okay. Here's the weird thing about archaea, is that they're pretty much the oldest species on Earth. They were here first. We were talking about a minuscule monocellular being that if you don't have a 2500x microscope, you're not going to see them. In fact, at one of the things we were at, someone put under a microscope, but it was only a 1200x, and all she could see was, that thing didn't have the ability to go deeper. What I like about these microscopes now is that what was $30,000 10 years ago You can buy one for $200. What is it? I couldn't tell what that was. Even with my glasses on, Steven, I couldn't see what that was.
That was immersion oil. You're
Okay.
talking about 2500x magnification.
Well, we used it in a bunch of different ways. And what we found is that, for example, it helps plants root significantly faster, and the roots they grow are much thicker. That's amazing, and it's a happy side effect. Decompact soil. If you're a hydro grower, even an aquaponic guy in your lines, you get that biofilm. It'll just take the biofilm right out. I had a grower, a hydro grower in Long Beach, that was convinced our product created sludge because he put it in his reservoir. He put in an overdose, really, because he didn't do the math right, and it didn't hurt anything. But he said that his drained waste wasn't draining fast, and this black sludge came out first. And I'm like, that was all the filth that was in your feed lines. And of course, he just couldn't believe that his stuff could be that dirty. No way, your stuff created this. And it was a bit of a pissing contest for a minute. And so we said, how about this then? Now that you can see there's nothing in there, why don't we do the exact same blend of nutrients, pH it the way you said you pH your stuff, and put our stuff in and see if it creates black sludge, which it did not. Because ironically, it really is looking for decaying and dying matter to reprocess back into active. And it microchelates too, which is like, plants love a good diet of, everything they want to get, but if they get it to them in the way they like it served best, they waste much less energy. They become healthier because they can uptake faster.
Yeah, I know we'll be doing some trials with it in mineralization here in a couple of weeks. So
I'm looking forward to that. Every new angle, like you say, well, what about this environment? Well, let's find a way to get it tested. I'm down to see what it does in all kinds of environments.
Oh yeah. So what are some of the other cool things that you guys have found working with it? Or what are some of the other cool things you can tell us about it? I know you said that it works really well for keeping your lines clean. I know a lot of people are looking for a way that's not, peroxide or bleach or something that's a little more caustic.
The problem with running peroxide too, if you want a sterile environment, sure. But if you believe in organic, live, natural biodiversity, I just can't use it. I don't want to whack the entire population of beneficials to get some stuff out of my lines. So when we found a microbial way which enhances the plants and cleans the lines and helps plants root and uptake nutrients and also helps them stay moist longer because the combination of species creates somewhat like a 2 layers deep glove around the root zone so that you have this glorious population between the mycorrhizal colonies, the fungal, it becomes much thicker with the species that are in this blend in there to protect the plants. So there's much less pathogen effects on plants.
That's awesome. Now, have you noticed any difference in terpene profiles with the different microbials in the roots?
Yeah, the roots. I mean, it's a very big difference. So other products out there like synthetic hormones, you'll get roots looking kind of like fish bones, really fine hairs and down. You'll get a plant with maybe 3 stages of nodes as tall, and the root will be as thick as my pinky. BioCat roots, I mean, they are much bigger surface area and like Hollywood teeth white, and there's no synthetic hormones used to do that. So I really dig that.
So we also had a. So what are some of the other like things that you guys have noticed in your soil applications? I know you guys have been working with this stuff for a little over a year and different trials with a bunch of different growers. What are some of the different results you guys have had with your experimentation so far?
Well, in soil, absolute home run. I don't care if you're growing peas to the dankest weed ever. We're doing really well across the board. Cocoa blends, depends what else is in there. There's a little bit of weirdness in some cocoa if they weren't flushed or, but if you get a good cocoa that's already been flushed and balanced, pretty substantial acceleration of uptake of nutrients. In aquaponics settings where we see just way cleaner environment. happier fish. The plants obviously love it because they're getting the food. All that stuff that was becoming biofilm is now transferred back into plant available food. So it's just a big win. I mean, we haven't seen, the only weirdness was in rock wool, and we validated that it was the nutrient blend and the experience of the gardeners. We tried to replicate the problem with another gardener somewhere else. He had the exact opposite positive results. So I can't. The worst part is when you give people the instructions, you don't know if they're going to follow them. You only hope. That's why with someone like yourself, or people that say they want to document and do a real trial, absolutely, I would love to see it, because I like nothing better than to be open. Whether it was with this thing I've been involved in or other things I'm involved in, I want to explain them and bring it out in the open to people. Because yeah, we have, like in other business, we have a patent on the light spectrum we made because we built it. It's ours. And we had it first and we did it, and no one else is copying it. This is microbial world. That the fact that we have well over 600 species. If you buy great white, you might find, I don't know, 38 to 50 things on the label. And if you had a lab test in your stuff, you'd find that they cultivate, for the most part, the dominant species, dry them out, and then blend them. I'm giving you something which is a concentrate of live, ready to go. Pretty cool. What I thought I knew about microbials has just been out of my head, and I had to go back and really start studying all those families again. I have a lot to relearn because I didn't remember as much as I thought I did. It's fascinating. It's very deep in the species names. There's over 600 of them. I'm not going to go into a laundry list now.
That's cool. Is there any anything you'd recommend not using it with, or maybe any downsides or any scenarios where you'd recommend probably avoiding it?
Well, avoiding it, if you're in a sterile environment and you want to stay that way, yeah, avoid it. If you're growing with, there'd have to be some other studies for me to figure out what someone's trying to do. The only negative aspect if someone's trying to be 100% sterile environment. This is not. It's obviously living microbials, not sterile.
So somebody asked if you were also with Spectrum King.
Yeah, same guy. Just shave my beard. I'm getting money looks. Oops. It was Mother's Day. I surprised my mom. But I'm involved in a bunch of things. I'm stupid. I'm single. I work too much, so it gives me something to do. My brain doesn't shut off either, so might as well use it for good things if possible. I like better ways to get plants better results naturally without having to use chemicals, without using the pesticides and things. So be it with the Spectrum King lights, with BioCat more solutions more, or with other things I'm involved in that maybe one day we'll get to those too. It's the goal's been the same. I want to go with the healthiest, cleanest, safest, whatever. I don't care if it's lettuce, strawberries, or the best weed in the world. I want people to be able to have something without the slightest worry in their head that this is awesome, clean, lab tested, safe, and bomb at the same time.
So we had a question from chat that says, is the strength of grow more microbials in its diversity, or is it more about the ratios or the blend of species?
Yes. To all of it. There you go. It's about all that, what you just asked.
I knew that's what you're getting at. Yep. Yes, all of it. Yep.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be doing some mineralization testing where we're gonna test fish waste, and then we're gonna look at what the minerals are, and then we're gonna introduce that, and we're gonna mineralize that the exact same way, and we're gonna look at what is more available so that we can help make sure and help dial in what the dosing is for aquaponics and all that stuff. And it works really well. They've even used it on tropical aquariums. We've used it here on a smaller tropical aquarium as a test, and it's worked really well with just making the aquatic plants look a lot nicer. The reds on the tiger lotus are a lot brighter. So it's working well in the planted aquarium, even with shrimp and stuff. So we'll see how it goes with the cannabis and aquaponics, but I can't imagine anything going wrong if it works on the more delicate fish so far.
it's kind of a yin and yang, give back kind of thing, because we as humans we've tried to chemically grow stuff for a little over a century, and we thought we knew what was right. When it's 3 letters only, NPK, that was a big deal. It still is in some people's minds. We only have 15 trace minerals. That's all plants need. No, there's a reason why there's if you get old school desert clay and you measure that, you get like 67 to 100 different minerals in there. And those plants from those environments need all of them. If you get deep sea water, you're going to find all these minerals that the fish are going down there for, because it's no longer up here. It only gets up here when the fish get harvested. People eat them while there's waste thrown out. Be establishing healthy balances in colonies and environments starts with the microbial world.
Someone else asked, are all 600 of those species aquatic and terrestrial, or are they, a percentage of them just terrestrial?
The simple answer would be there are some aquatic and there are many terrestrial, in a sense, yes. There's far more than that. That's why we called it more, because once we saw there's this much stuff in there, it's like there's just more. I'm not going to put 600 names on a label, of which the 600, there's a good almost 40 of them that are still being identified. We know they're related to, but they're not quite the same as, so they must be somebody like. Type thing. There's just so many different ones in there. And ironically, the bacterial world has been fairly well studied, but only for a few families of bacteria, and there's just a myriad of them. So as you step into other parts, like the anaerobes, for example, we're just learning about a lot more about them. And at one point in time, I myself thought, we have to put more oxygen in the root zone, we have to this and that, or anaerobic bacteria, better. Yet, in the real world, there is a balance of aerobic and anaerobic in all environments for a reason. You see it when you test the minerals of that environment, what the plants are uptaking. You do the tissue samples of plants. You start getting parallels as to why this biodiversity needs to be together, and how we can put it together into where it doesn't. There's no winners and losers. There's no we start off with this quantities, and now next month it's like this because these guys won. A 30-day later test from 2 different locations, there were only 2% difference of the populations in there, the ratios. I can't explain it. I'm still stumped and wanting to know more about the more that I'm dealing with. But from all the testing we're doing, we're seeing phenomenal things with plants, phenomenal things with cleaning out feeding lines, and phenomenal things even with fish. Like my fish guy is one of the partners. So he's throwing in his fish every day. He even drinks the stuff. Granted, I haven't gone there with him yet. But after I read the list of people in there, I'm like, I don't know if I could. That's a lot. Taken. If what I could do is, if there's a message thing there, if you're growing something, you say like, I have who knows, a 10-gallon tank you want to play with your kind of fish, we'll send you a 2-ounce or a 4-ounce sample or something so you can put in there and see for yourself. Honestly, until you use it, it's hard to stick. It sounds too good to be true. What it does, for what it costs, or for what it brings. Some of the cannabis tests were 20% increase in yields. Only difference was this product. Exact same feed regime, strains people knew. They got a 20% increase in that particular strain. And the terpene profile, as Stephen mentioned, doesn't change the terpene profile. It enhances the F out of it. So, yeah, that side alone, very interesting.
And that's something that we preach a lot about with the dual root zone, is that the more microbial biodiversity to the root system, that's healthy microbiodiversity that's not attacking the plant, which is the critical part, the more terpene expression you will get, because a lot of your terpene expression is directly linked to the immune system response genes to the plant. The plant's actually making terpenes as mold resistance compounds, or as insect repellent, or as something to make it taste sour or bitter, so that mammals don't feed on it. These are all things that we find desirable as terpenes. And what's a cannabinoid? Terpene plus a phenol. CBGA plus whatever other group you add to it to make your different cannabinoids. So just to break it down into simplified. So that's why the more biodiversity you can get to your systems, that's why living soil systems taste so much better than the commercial produced garbage that's all mineral based, because there's no microbial biodiversity. So
yeah, I remember when I was living in Europe and having real food, and coming back to the United States and going, what the is this? As Americans, we're so used to having supermarket stuff that we don't realize that that's just horrifically poorly produced, chemically induced everything that's cheap to produce, and it looks like what you want to eat, but it doesn't taste like a real one. American tomatoes are, if you get anywhere else in the world, Australia even, but especially if you get to Europe, oh my God, tomatoes are amazing. Huge. And it's the biodiversity and the natural minerals getting fed to the plants in the right environment. You got to have the right environment at the roots. You got to.
Is it time to have a cheers? Let the guy have a break, man. What's everybody puffing on tonight? Have a little break. Cheers, everyone in chat. Thanks for being here, everyone. Steve, are you saying anything? I can't hear you. Okay.
sorry about that. I had some.
Okay. I'm like, I can't hear you, man.
It's all good. What else is going on with you? I know you're aside from working on with Grow More, you also do stuff with Spectrum King. What else is what's new with you guys over there? You guys have been cooking up all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, well, obviously we have the low Pro series lights, and we're working on new methods for communication between lights, whether it be standard 0 to 10 volt dimming, Wi-Fi modules. That's the next generation of stuff. Everyone wants access to their things from wherever they are, so we're trying to interface that into the larger grow operations without breaking the bank. And then we got the patent on the spectrum for our lights, so everyone else that was telling us we were clueless 5 years ago can now get in line and pay us or get out. We took a lot of beatings for a lot of years for what we believed in, but proofs of the pudding is patented because we did have something distinctly different. I love studying this stuff, and again, no matter what angle I'm coming at it from, it's to get better plants, better results. And if we can get better at producing it, making it more cost effective to make it go more into mainstream, it's a win for everybody.
Do you guys have anything new you guys are coming out with this year?
Well, the controllers and the new software we're putting on for Z-Wave or Zigbee setup, that's going to be the lights will be. That's the next generation of lights that have to get finished this year. We're updating. Every year we always come out with more models and we update because there's upgrade options for people. A lot of times in summers, people that got like a light 2 years ago will say, well, I've got a 400 plus, and they'll upgrade the light engine to a 402. So we'll give them special deals to do that because you get a way more light for much less than the cost of a new light. If you have an issue with your light, because we always make our stuff future-proofed, you can have things which can match with retrofit or refit or upgrade options. A lot of other companies make it so their stuff is just their way, one way, that's it. If you want a light that plugs in, on, off, sure. If you want a Ferrari that has got 4,000 options and all kinds of, we'll do that for you too.
Very cool. I also like the fact that if you accidentally drop one of your lights in the reservoir, you don't get electrocuted, which is really cool.
Valid point. But like anything electric and water is not the best mix, but at least, if that were a bulb, that would not be a happy ending.
Oh, yeah. I've had a HID dropped in a fish tank I was working on before, and it physically threw me out of the fish tank. My coworker knocked the light in. Threw me a good ways. Any other new info you want to share on lighting or stuff you're seeing that grows? You get to work with a lot of different grows, and a lot of different types of different things.
What I'm seeing on big commercial grows is the understanding of long-term versus short-term gains. It's like infrastructure, what gear they're using. Back at the gangster single-ended bulb 1000s to the double-ended bulbs, they're coming towards control systems, interlinking your HVAC, all your sensors. There's a lot more automation in some of these bigger grows that they get into. But at the same token, they're doing all that side, but on the nutrient side, they're not buying liquid nutrients that often anymore. They're just going back to old ag salts and blending their own. A lot of the big ups aren't buying because it's too expensive to ship them. When the cost per pound went to where it is now, it allows people like, I can't use that stuff and stay profitable. So they're doing it other ways.
Yeah, that's something I'm seeing. Like, it's still frustrating to me when you see people buying bottled nutrients, especially like really marked out bottle nutrients. And when they're buying it by like the IBC tote or the 55-gallon drum, I've seen that a lot with the organic certified vegetable producers for aquaponics. They want to just buy a solution. It's like, if you just buy the organically certified powder and mix your own, it'll cost you 20% of what you're spending. Like, what are you doing? You're paying for water and for advertising and marketing. Why would you do that? I guess maybe not everyone's skilled enough to figure out their dosing, but it's not that difficult if you know where to look. You have to account for some extra things with microbes, but
yeah,
that's part of everyone screws up.
Well, that's why I find all of it so interesting when you start seeing interaction between the light above, the roots below, the microbials, the nutrients, what form of nutrients. Because a lot of people will look at a nutrient bottle and say, well, it's got everything in there, but what's the actual compound they're measuring it from? Some compounds are significantly more complex for plants to create enzymes to break down, so they don't actually get it. That's why there's toxic buildup in soils, for example, because some well-known nutrient brands from the, if you're lawn landscaping world, those things are not made with readily available ionized minerals. They're made with thick compounds, and that stuff's sitting in the soil so long that the plants are getting it. But it's when it does finally break down, creates kind of a toxic layer. So if you don't have the microbials, going back to what Stephen mentioned, to help balance that out, it just builds up. Then it leaches in streams and rivers, and you have algae blooms and all these things, simply because we've destroyed the microbial balance that would take care of those problems had we left it alone or left it intact.
Have you seen any other maybe like trend? What cultivars are you seeing people grow a lot of? Because you get to see quite a lot of grows recently.
Yeah. Well, it's the flavor of the month club has slowed down a little bit. If there was a while there, it was like I had this summer cough, and that cough, and this berry, and that berry. It just seemed like it was a race towards the fruitiest next thing. I felt like it's the Beaujolais weed. But what I'm seeing is that people that are breeders that I run into, they're getting tighter with their own strains to really get their favorites, are the ones they're known for, protected and dialed in, because there's a lot of odd names for things, and you see them, and if you did a lab test on it, you'd be like, wait a minute, this tastes just like so-and-so's thing that's in Oregon, and this tastes just like my boy's thing in Michigan, and this is like, that's this dude from Florida right there, and it's the same damn weed, just with a different name. Literally, like if you open the jar and smoked it yourself, and I know your nose is pretty good for this, and I know Gene's nose is great for this, yeah, they may have grown it with slightly different nutrients, but it's the same strain with a different name, quote unquote, protected by this guy here or this guy here or that person there. As we learn more on the genetics, the ability to study the genetics and actually get the lab test done way cheaper than in the past, people are going to lock down their things just to put. It's like intellectual property. I can't open up an Apple computer and copy it and make one and call it a crapple or call it something else. They're going to nail me for being their trademark thing.
So we had some questions from chat. So the first question from chat is, does LED lighting affect trichome expression and density? What makes LED lighting good quality versus junk?
Okay, great questions. The first one, do you get a richer terpene profile with LED? I'll only speak for my own. I can't speak for everyone else because there's all kinds of different kinds of LEDs out there. With our lights, absolutely. We have lab tested. We have never lost a THC battle. We've never lost a terp battle. The whole, in the simplest of terms, what are terpenes? Right? They're sugars and they're hormones and they're all kinds of things the plants produce to protect themselves. If the plant's properly stimulated, it has the energy built up in its roots, which are healthy and protected. It will create more terpenes. If we're not damaging the plant constantly with specific bandwidths of light that they don't want or need, which is what HPS does, that's why your leaves get so hot. If you can dial the spectrum in to give them the light they do want in all bandwidths, in the dose they want it, without the harmful excesses on the bookends, they call them, you get more terpenes because the terpenes you are getting are not being melted away by the infrared light that the bulb gives off. So unless they can make a bulb out in far infrared excess light, which we don't measure with meters, because meters can only measure what the human eye can see, not what plants use. Plants use a spectrum like this. They measure a spectrum like that. The bulb companies don't want to measure a spectrum like this because in the far ridge, it'll show that they're off the damn chart. LED is way down to the safe zone and out. They're way up. You see their spike here in the middle, which almost looks like they're flipping you off on the light chart. And then once you get off the chart, you see in the infrared, it climbs back up like this. Your comment there.
So the other thing I think with LEDs too, just to add to that, is just the fact that with LEDs you get better penetration through the canopies. You're getting, photosynthetic radiation to layer 3, layer 4, layer 5 of that canopy, whereas with an HID you get maybe down to what you could tell me better than I could say. I think it's what, layer 3 or 4 with HID versus LEDs get much deeper.
I can't say layer 3 or 4, and I'll explain why.
Sure.
I'll put it in simple measurements. On an HPS grower with a 1200 watt, a double-headed bulb fixture turned up, he's going to get a canopy. He's going to lollipop his plants to have probably about a good 2 feet of actual plant canopy. Why? Because that bandwidth of light is not going to go any further than that, and they would strip the lower plants not to have waste, to have the plant use energy up top. That bandwidth of light is not going to penetrate through a great distance of leaf structure. When you have the right bandwidth of light and the intensity, it will transport further through the plant cuticle. And the same token is you'll have a lot more of it because your internodal spacing will be reduced drastically by having the right bandwidth of light the plant wants. Plants stretch because you're looking for more light. If they're getting the light they want, they don't stretch like crazy. They stay squatter and the buds stay closer together. So the idea to get fat colas with our lights is actually pretty damn easy if you use them properly. As long as your temperature humidity is in the right sweet spot, that full bandwidth of light, you will get denser, stickier buds, for sure.
Awesome. So the next question is, where is it? How long into flower do you suggest using Grow More?
Well, what I would say with more, it's basically, you want to establish the populations. We're only talking about 2 ounces per gallon twice a week into your mix. So if you're a little home grower, you don't need a lot at all. If you're a big commercial guy, we can get you that, whatever. We had somebody ask for 50,000 gallons. We're like, okay, didn't see that coming, but yeah, we can do it. Basically, we have to establish breeding colonies and breed them in a specific environment, and then expand it, feed, expand it, and we can get those out to people. Your results are fairly quickly noticeable in just aromas. The plants, when you desludge and you eat up the slime or a biofilm, which can create negative problems and stress the plants out by feeling the presence of it. the plant reacts in a fairly quick and obvious way. And more importantly, your nose will notice the difference within a couple of days, because any pungent odor, not of the good kind, that may lurk around somewhere, it's just not there anymore. So, as Stephen mentioned, to do that test to find out without what he's getting on the readout. It's the same thing I've got to do now. I've got to go through a bunch of different grow styles, and we have to measure a runoff and then lab test that also to see who of my species who made it through. In other words, weren't really being used in there, or just didn't have time to grab on to anything, and what nutrient level came out with them the plant didn't need. And then measuring soil samples from above, from without. And we haven't got enough tests done, but we're seeing some pretty wild changes in just plants within a week or two. They're just better. The stalks seem a lot stronger. They're flexible, but they're not going to snap. I don't know what anyone's given growing experience is, but you can tell when someone hasn't used silicates or has used too much of this or that just by touching the stalks of plants. After a while, you get that familiar with the strains. And a plant that's just in balance, it has a feeling to it. It's a lot denser, stronger. It doesn't feel like bamboo. Even a small branch, there's something more to it. And I'm finding with the right microbial balance, the microchelation, that seems to be the answer.
Awesome. All right, so Stabby McStabwood asks, what is your opinion on adding UV light to white-based grow LEDs? What would be the best way to supplement, in your opinion? And then I want to add to that. I was recently at one of the talks by the gentleman from NPK Technologies or NPK University, whatever it is, and he was saying how UVB is really bad if you're going after CBD, because UVB changes the expression of the cannabis, in particular for increasing CBD production and decreasing that THC expression, versus if you have the UVB, that will give you a stronger THC expression in cultivars that would normally express higher CBD, if that wasn't present. And I'd love to hear your opinion on this.
Well, part of it makes sense to me, and I would agree with part of it. I can't make an absolute answer. Why? Because we're just beginning to study this. This is what it looks like, I know my problem with UV, not really UVA, but UVB and UVC LEDs is they don't last long. So everything we build is built with a 5-year warranty. There's no way anyone on earth would give you a 5-year warranty on a UV anything, not even a 1-year warranty. And the worst part about it is that you don't need it on all the time. For some of the changes that Stephen mentioned that the NPK technology stumbled upon by studying it was UV. If I'm going to use it, I'm going to use it sparingly in veg, just to stimulate the plant's immune system, but not damage their DNA while they're forming. So you're talking about maybe 2 minutes every 2 hours kind of thing. And then the onset of flower, I'd wait to week 2, they start showing little heads, and then I would start hitting with maybe 3 minutes every 2 hours. And then the last 2 weeks of flower, I hit them 2 minutes every hour. And then when you do that and during the flush, do that same regimen, there is, as he mentioned, there's definitely a change in the results. And if you like the psychoactive effect of cannabis, it definitely enhances that side of the coin.
All right, there was a follow-up question to that. Let me find it on here. So any other panelists have any questions while I'm looking through the chat here?
Yeah, Amadeus's question is really cool. He says, does he believe that adding any specific spectrum increases the actual trichome weight? Have you seen different terpene expressions in clones grown with different spectrums?
The answer would be yes. There's a reason why we have been doing what we do. And a noticeable difference, yeah, a few percentage points actually. Not on all strains, but on the ones that were heavy hitters that we saw generally above 2 to 3% increase in THC and terpenes. But very much so that, you know, I would put the enhanced terpene profile as, if this image works, it changes the ride. Like some highs, you know, like for someone like me who's not a sativa person, get paranoid. So that's because the plant's genetics were pushed and grown a certain way for so long that that became the dominant profile that plant now has. Its gene expression. If you change the feed regime and the microdiversity in its roots from a next generation cut and change the light source above it and give it the environment, it will start becoming the plant it was before after a few generations. So just like us, the plants are selective breeding themselves for survival. It doesn't always work, but when you find out what works for a given plant, be it, I don't care if it's an orange tree, you know, whatever you're growing, or weed, or whatever, when you find what works for that combination of environment, feed, and lighting source, it's pretty epic what you get. I mean, it's very noticeable differences in the plants.
So we had another question. It says, in your personal grower and the growers you work with, do you follow a VPD chart? And then he asks, what do you measure? Do you measure the room, the leaf surface temperature, the canopy? And then do you ramp down the humidity towards the end of harvest? Or do you, well, we'll just do the first two questions and we'll ask that one.
Yeah, so that's a long list. Just start with the first two, because I was thinking all of them at the same time.
Sure. Sure. So do you follow a VPD chart, and then what are your temperature measurements?
Okay.
Where are you taking those temperature measurements?
Well, yes, I'm a firm believer in VPD and all the way through harvest too, but the difference being my harvest nighttime temperatures are cooler, so I do lower the humidity commensurately with temperature, especially for indicas. You know, my sativas I might keep in a 7 to 10 degree change in temperature, really not much, because where they're originally from, that's about all they get at night. But to really make the colors pop and the terpenes really express themselves in indicas, I find that, you know, from week 5 in flower on, the nighttime temperatures start getting colder, and it just changes the plant, and the results are awesome. So yes, and then measuring your leaf surface temperature, just as important as measuring around your room. And if you see drastic differences, you have airflow issues, you have light issues. So, you know, any new room I'm going to go into, I'm going to first of all breathe deep, and if I'm not upset, then I'm going to continue forward. Because a lot of the rooms I go into, I can't believe they don't smell the negative, that, like, you know, algae and drains, you know, root rot, all those things just don't want in a garden. And if someone's like nose blind to it, kind of scares me. When you get into a lot of big commercial guys, you start seeing that they're very formulaic, they're very systemic, and if they automate as much as they can, because when they automate, that gives them more time to really watch the plants. And if you ever stop and sit and watch, kind of empty-headed, you start noticing a lot more that when you're feeding and trimming and all the other things you just don't see, because you're too pressed to try to get, you know, I got to feed a couple hundred plants right now. I got to, you know, de-leaf this one, stake these guys up, hang some netting, mix nutrients. You know, if you're not doing all those other things, just strictly watching your plants, the automation allows that. And then the microenvironments for specific strains do make a difference. And then after that was what? There's another question.
Yeah, so the other follow-up question is, do you ramp down humidity towards the end of harvest, or do you follow it to grow the plants as vigorously as possible towards the end?
As I mentioned, I do, on, you know, indica dominant, pure indicas and indica dominant strains, I do make a big difference in temperature the last, you know, from week 5 on, really, and then definitely the last 2 weeks. Even in daytime and nighttime, their natural environments, the temperatures do change that much. With sativas and sativa dominance, I don't change as much. What I do is I kind of stay within the same degrees, but, you know, instead of going up to 85 in week 6, I'm going to go down to 82. and I'm going to drop the same degrees below. So it's not a drastic change, but it is a subtle one. And I find that with finishing, the plants take that little nudge. You go, okay, it's time to get to work. Just something, I see. Maybe I'm fabricating in my mind, but it does seem to have a result to induce what we want.
That's a good theory. I like that theory too. And that's what I loved about the work. All the times when you hear just solely representing Spectrum King, that was you guys, everybody out there, you really need to go back and watch those shows if you hadn't, to see what Brendan and Orr have come up with. Because when you wonder about I saw in chat that people were saying something about how expensive it is, and the lights are expensive comparatively to the cheaper lights you can buy, but with the warranty and the bulletproof, this is a fantastic light, and the research that they're able to put in and give you exactly what you want, for your light, whether it be something they off the shelf or something they custom make for you, Spectrum King. So go watch those shows. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And I think Mr. Green Jeans wanted to ask a question. I'm not sure.
No, I already did. I just wanted to ask Amadeus's question. Got it.
Awesome. Anyone else? I mean, let's mix it up a little bit here. I'm having some fun. I might go some deeper in a rabbit hole if we can.
So someone asked if you can use a black light in your grow.
Okay. What is a black light? Now, I'm not asking this as a rhetorical. There's so many variations of it that without knowing what it is, what the dominant bandwidths are, and what intensity it is, I can't really say. Do plants use UV? Yes. What's the dose? How often do they need it? That's the trick.
Well, so that is a great question. So if someone does want to supplement, I know. So when I built my very first LEDs for cannabis growing, this is allegedly back when I was doing aquarium stuff with coral growing and all that things, and we were building custom reef tank lights because they were way cooler and a hell of a lot less power draw because back in the day it was using 600 or 1,000 watt HIDs, and when you put them directly on top of a reef tank, it tends to heat that tank up real quick, and that cooks the corals. So we switched over to working with the LEDs, and we noticed that the plants did really well, but there was like something that was kind of off, like they never quite rezzed out. So what we would do is we take those long 2 and 4 foot reptile AV bulbs that you get at the pet shop, and we use those on in between the LED lights, and that worked real well. And we had them on just when the other lights were on. But what would be a schedule if someone does want to supplement with the UV AV bulb? Especially the T5s are cheap since they only last 6 to 12 months anyway. Even with the diodes, I know the LEDs, the longest I've heard of is around 40 or 50,000 hours. With the UV diodes, I think is at least the last time I went and checked.
No, decent diodes, of just regular white or base visible colors, you're going to get 50 to 100,000 hours out of. You might be lucky if you got 10,000 out of the UV any diode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they commit suicide. They're basically eating themselves from the first time you turn them on. So until we get better at it, they're just honestly. I mean, and I work LEDs. I'm not saying this. We're not there with them yet, confidently enough to make them last as long as everything else we make. And then we found you don't need to have them on all the time anyway. So suddenly that $12 reptile bulb gets interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Another person asked about infrared. I know that some other LED lighting companies have infrared. And I do know that when we did side-by-sides with those versus the SKs that didn't have the infrared, that they were about 2%. The non-infrared were about 1.5%. Well, the exact number is 1.7 to 2%, 2.1% higher in THC. And we attributed that to the infrared causing more heat radiation in the trichome head, which was causing those THC to turn into CBN, because the CBN was also higher on the competitors that had the infrared.
Well, yes, there's a reason why we taper the infrareds. The bulb gives off more than the plant needs. And the funny thing, this is maybe a crude gesture, but if you get a good look and a good microscope or a good zoom lens and you look at trichomes on healthy plants under HPS or LED, you'll have a magic moment, because the LED trichomes under our lights are infinitely denser, infinitely thicker, and for lack of a polite term, they look like a bunch of dicks standing at a bus stop. They are up there like that, standing up. And you get to HPS grown terps, you look at them, they're kind of like this. They're kind of bent because they're deflating. So not only are they converting to CBN, they're actually being evaporated by that excess infrared. That's one of the easiest things, is that because we don't burn them and we give them more of the spectrum they want, we get better, safer, longer lasting terpenes too.
And the infrared too, that far red, was it the 320 nanometer or 430 nanometer? Was it?
Your far red starting in the mid 600s and then going off to
Oh, I'm sorry. What's the one that you want for when the lights come on and then when the lights go off?
Well, if you were looking at sunrise to sunset in the course of a day, you'd see the sun's transitional colors.
Yeah.
Its bookends are pretty much about the same color.
Yeah.
So when you study the dominant bandwidth of sunrise and sunset, you start seeing that it's a very good to use trigger for your plants. It helps wake them up, and put them to sleep, put them in a calmer state very quickly. So if you are HPS guy and you slap the lights on, your plants go from dead sleep to what the fuck, and it takes them 2 hours to figure out what they're supposed to be doing, because they were just asleep. Just like if someone walked in and slapped you in a dead sleep, you wouldn't be happy either. We've been doing that to our plants every day for a long time. When you see the bandwidth that they need to help them wake up gently, the irony is that they get the full production faster. So every day, you're getting more actual prime time growth out of your plants under LED than you do in HPS.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that. So you could just have that red light on just for, like, what is it, 5 minutes before and after they wake up and 5 minutes before and after they go to sleep, or should it be longer?
Even if, honestly, I like 15 minutes that, as a bare minimum. But I'm figured that I want to be awakened not so quickly myself. So I figured plants are very similar that way. It does seem to me that you don't want to hit it with too much intensity within the first half an hour. They kind of want to come up, like, ramp up nice and easy, and then get up to full power.
And basically, that 15 minutes is what you're saying, because you want to give them time to absorb it too. If it's too little of a amount of time, they're not going to get any benefit from that.
Correct.
Right.
You have to absorb enough photons from that bandwidth to get the reaction we're looking for. Yes. I gotta grab my charger. I'll be right back.
So how's everybody enjoying the show tonight? That's pretty cool. I love having Brendan on, man. He's such a knowledge.
Great information. I wish I would have prepared a little bit before the show. But cheers, everyone. I do have some rosin. So I've been doing my FTJs. So
Why don't you show those off a second?
that I've been doing. I went out and I did some.
I see a whole bunch of it.
Yes, I did a whole bunch of them. Yep. I did some yarrow. So yarrow in there. It's already starting to break down the bottom. You can see it liquefying already.
Nice. Yep, it's cool. You got to keep it on the light now. I hope you just have it there for this show.
No, I'm just bringing it here to show you. It's going back to my cupboard. I have a dark, cool cupboard that I keep it in. Not too cool. And then this is chamomile.
Nice.
I have just a whole bunch naturally coming up, and it's just before the little flowers start to open. So that's when I harvested both of these flowers.
So you mean first thing in the morning before they when the hormones.
But also just before they get ready to open as a natural flower as well, right? Before
right before when they're buds, they're still like that.
And I have another plant that I did in here that I actually don't know what it is, so I just did it, and then I'll figure out later if I should use it or not. So hey, there we go. And then I did stinging nettle. and goji tan cuttings. So yeah, or no, goji tan, goji berry bush. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. That's what I did today. Yay!
That's cool. That's cool. Very nice job.
And then I have a nice little plant I want to show off. This actually is a seed that came back from Jamaica with me. It was in a bag. So who knows what we're going to have here.
Allegedly. Yeah, exactly. Well, that was right on time.
Who knows what we'll have? I don't know. We'll try it.
So the big thing with Jamaican strains is you never want to get the Jamaican strains real far from a 12-12. If you move that real far from like past like a 13 light on, it'll get real weird on you. A lot of times the equatorial's gone too long. So even hermaphrodite, like I got the CBD strain I got from the Humboldt conference the first year. When I put it under 24 hours of light, it hermed out on me. And when I put it back down under the 16, it stopped throwing nanners.
Well, hey, this is like the first bag seed I have ever popped. Okay, so this is really bad. That's how new I am growing. Okay. So
I think there's nothing wrong with popping a seed from something that allegedly came from Jamaica. You know.
No, it did come from Jamaica. I was there. Well, never mind.
That's funny because the advice Steve was giving was super cutting edge. You know, short day length for equatorial strains.
Yep.
And you're on your first grow.
So
that's the way we roll.
It's growing outside, right? So it actually is. This is a stem, the purple stem. It's the only one that has purple stem. Is that good or bad? Should we know?
Phenotype expression. The leaves
okay.
are fun. Yeah.
So right now we don't know, right? There we go. What's everybody puffing on tonight? What are you smoking on, Brendan?
I just had this vape while a friend of mine made me a really nice indigo oil. My back hurts, and this stuff is definitely working right now.
Nice.
I have some Bruce Banner, I think. Right?
Oh wow!
Roommate rolled up. I think there's some hash in there too.
And I'm on my last joint from my best.
Roommate doesn't want to say hi, but he'll raise the joint.
Okay. He'll smoke the joint, but he wants to say hi.
And
I want to good. Not everybody wants to be on camera.
No, I'm.
Yeah, there you go. Hand on camera.
And I'm smoking the big fuck up that was my last of my gift from my biggest fan in Michigan. So thank you very much, buddy. You know, I look forward to seeing you in the future. Let me light it back up. I was saving some of it. Perfect thing, Tara, because I wanted to give a shout out to our friends in Michigan that we met. Because
So I pressed about probably 4.5 grams of super lemon haze rosin earlier. So it's looking pretty good. It should butter up later. So that's what I was puffing on earlier. But I gotta let off the super lemon haze tonight, or I won't be able to get to sleep. I'm going bye-bye, and I'm gonna go into the sugar candy. So we got a nice turnout tonight. Thanks everybody for turning out tonight and showing up in the chat and all the great questions. Is there some more questions? Do we want to keep going? What else we got going on?
Yeah, so we had another question from chat. It says, do you recommend a dark period when switching your plants? Anywhere from 24 to 72 hours. What do you recommend?
I didn't catch the beginning of that.
Oh, sure. So when you're switching from plants from veg to flower, what length of the should you shut your plants off for 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours when you flip them? And what do you recommend as a lighting guy?
I think 24 hours is more than enough, really, to put them to rest, shock them, and when you wake them up, the other light source. But then your transition period can be a few days longer. I know plenty of guys that just flip from veg to flower, and just accept that there's going to be a few days of none fun for the plants to figure out what the hell just happened and keep going. If from what I've seen, if your lights are off for up to 24 hours and you trigger them, the recovery time seems to be about the same as if you went straight in, but you may see some minor differences. I haven't done that particular move a dozen times myself, so I can't say, but I don't know what I did see. It wasn't as drastic as I thought it should have been.
I love that explanation about the reason that it gives them, like, they don't know what the fuck happened, you know? It's like, so that's a good thing to tell these beginners when they're always going there reading, oh, it should be off 48 hours. I would like 36 because then I can still run my lights at the same time of the day, basically. So, or something along there, over 24 to where I can get it, because you're going from, well, in my case, 15 or 16 hours of veg, you know, at veg at the most of light. And then if I drop down to 12, and hey, this might be a good segue into Steve loves. Steve has been preaching a lot, but we never really got him to talk about it much and why. We know it gets the finished plants faster, but Steve, you're constantly saying you like 10, 14.
No. I like 11, 13.
Yeah.
Oh, 11. Well,
So
okay.
Cannabis evolved. Remember, where did cannabis evolve? Why in the wild? Between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer. And what is the biggest difference you're going to have with that in lighting difference? It's going to be no more than 1 hour difference anywhere in that zone between daytime. And most of the time, half an hour difference across the majority or less across the majority of the area that cannabis evolved originally. So that plants are used to queuing in on a really small difference in lighting, like a half hour difference. And people forget that.
Cool. It's the angle, the atmosphere, and the light, and the amount of time triggers. Plants get that. You know, June 22nd, they go, dudes, you got that? You saw that too, right? We got to get to work. We have to start flowering now. Days are getting shorter. So within 1 day, the plants figure that out and flip the flower.
And see, I've always been a proponent of doing it the way it is in nature, right? So if you live in an area where it's the longest day you have is 14 hours, I like to veg. I've done a lot of grows where I veg 14 hours, you know, then I would drop it to 12, but, you know, and I would even I like gradually dropping it too, to emulate nature a little bit. You know, it doesn't hurt. I can't, you know, there's a million arguments, but again, Brandon's probably got more data on this than I could ever give you with my limited amount of grow space. But I've always liked to do that idea of dropping the veg time a little bit every week until you get to your flower period. And I think I like it. I think the plant, and like it's that little hint that it's changing. And then, you know, so, you know.
I've done that. I've experimented with that a couple times. Gradual reduction of day length. You got a big boost in yield actually from it.
Yeah.
Big boost. Yeah. Big boost. Yep.
So basically, it's like us. They want to transition from day to night to day gradually.
Yeah.
Boom, here you are. Boom, there you go. It's like, what the hell? You know, that shock.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no shock. So no energy wasted recovering from shock. So they just going.
And less stretching. And I find a lot less stretching too, because when you do that, because you don't go through that 18-6 or God forbid 24-0 to 12-12, and then it goes, you know, nuts and stretches like crazy. I find the stretching calms down a lot too. And I loved it. You know, like if you go start at 16-8 and every 2 weeks you reduce it an hour and provide an hour more of darkness, you'll be at 12-12 after 2 months. So that's a real quick formula for you guys. 16-8, 15-9, 14-10, 13-11, 12-12. That's your flower period. You know?
And it's not necessarily a waste of time, because some plants, you know, actually kind of start flowering, or they don't really start flowering earlier, but maybe they just sort of get ready to flower earlier or something like that. It's kind of like they know what's going on, so they set a plan or something. Maybe.
Yeah, I noticed too. But particularly with sativas that take a long damn time. If you give them a good 24 to 72 hour flip, and then you also make sure that you're giving them cooler water when you water them, especially if you're doing soil, putting some ice cubes or something to chill that water a little bit. And then also making sure that if you're doing an indoor environment, swinging the temperature down a lot more at night, especially if it's a longer flowering strain. If you give it more of a temperature swing, that's also like a hurry the fuck up kind of cue to the plant. That helps it speed up a little bit more as well, especially with sativas. You could definitely shave, 1 to 2 weeks off of the flowering time. If you, on the longer flowering cultivars, especially with the colder temperatures.
Feed temperatures.
Any other things with lighting that people could do to particularly affect their yields? Or anything you want to mention on that?
Well, I think it's in tandem with, like we offer with our software and bigger systems, is sunrise and a sunset. Is that gradual transition to being awake kind of makes sense. The gradual transition to going to flower is ingrained in them, and you're kind of they're being told progressively what's happening, whereas that bang off for X period of time, knock on different color and different schedule. That shock transition, that you're going to be at least a week, maybe 10 days sometimes, for them to get stabilized after that shock transition from 18-6 darkness 12-12. So if you can position it, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you not done? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So the transition makes sense. Just like you want to wake up, sunrise, it's a peaceful transition to the next phase. But they're being reminded of it, so they get there in a different state, if you will. I understand what Gene said earlier, that they don't look the same as a plant would look that was under 18-6. They don't even look the same. It's not drastic. It's not like it's who the hell is that, but there's a change in the way the plant's developing because it knows its time is shorter. It's already aware of it, and it just seems like the indigo ones, and those things will get the flower in 14, 17 days on their own in that transitional light. So if you're going to train them or do something, it's from day one. Because you're going to open them up so they have more branches. Then you change where they transition and they get this thickness, and then you go, okay, and you're going to be going to flower, and they go to flower. So there's less shock transitions. Shock transitions in plants, they burn up a whole lot of their energy capital they can get access to process things and to extract and pull from their own skin sometimes to keep themselves going. Well, if you remove that stress from them by giving a smoother transition, in conjunction with a more active biosphere, they do pay you back. You will have healthier plants, better yields, better looking plants too. Less likelihood of disease too. So there's a lot. There's a reason why I kind of obsess from all sides, above, beyond, and below, to figure out why that is. Because if we can establish this in our community, we can get big ag people to get away from doing things the way they've been doing it, and poisoning soils and numbers of things. We all win. The world's a better place if we establish the microbial population we destroy, chemically out of ignorance.
What do you want to ask, Sarah?
So I grow outside, and is there like something you would recommend that I could maybe put outside early? Something expensive for just a small grower, medical grower, something inexpensive to put your plants out a little bit earlier because I'm worried about them flowering right now. Maybe you could suggest.
Well, you're not going to give them a drastic shock up, down, back, forth, high, low, because that's what usually happens when they had them under an internal light source and environment, and then you put them outside. Well, they're getting less or a lot more light than they were getting in there, and it's kind of a transition period, just like you would. So if you can find a happy medium, not move it as much. Kind of keep it to where it's like if it's going inside, outside, it's not moving very far. If you have a big commercial grow, obviously you can just crack the vents in the greenhouse. But we tend to change more than one thing when we change stuff, so sometimes we don't know which part did right or did wrong. So it's kind of a baby step process because your environment, plants you're working with, they're going to tell you if they're happy or sad. You're there with them every day. you'll see the reaction, the transition. They'll talk to you. As long as you just watch the plant, keep the plant happy, it's going to make you happy. I mean, think of it. If you didn't have to waste energy fighting the cold, whatever, you would go into a bigger person. If the plant doesn't have the stresses and can dedicate its energies to specifically to growth only, because it's not fighting any pathogens, it has no deficiencies, it's a healthy plant, it's significantly more robust. It's visual for us because they're talking to us all the time, and depending on the strain, I'm sure we can find feed recipe from even aquaponically or hand mixing, whatever, that Stephen or myself or Gene or we all do. Let me know what you're working with. Just say, what the hell's up with this? What's up with that? If I already know, I'll get right back. If I don't, I'm going to find out because that's in my head works. I can't get stumped like that. I have to figure things out. So, as long as I keep up this path of trying to figure everything out, I'll be okay.
Sleepless nights if you don't know the answer to something. Sleepless nights.
Yeah. And if you can't find any data on it, it's a new thing. It's just yeah. I've had too many of those.
We had another question was, what CBD cultivars are you seeing a lot of people growing?
A lot of people are ordering seeds, more so than getting cuts and things. And of the seed banks that I've seen seeds from, kind of shocked at some, and kind of question if they even know what they have in some others. If you find a good source, it's going to be directly from the grower and not through distribution channels and things where things go horribly wrong. It seems like there's more direct relationships from seed. Like when this guy starts growing, he's going this seed bank stuff. Not getting these guys. He's like he's found his source and he's growing those specific strains for the race. My problem with CBD production is not on that they're producing the plants for it, which I applaud. It's how they extract the CBD currently. It's destroying so many other terpenes and beneficial compounds that, yes, you're getting CBD, but just like CBD and THC and balance your head, you get more high, less higher, more reactive. If you change the balance in that environment, you're going to get a different result as well. So, how do I put this? I'm going to find the right words. Is it complex? Yeah. If you're paying attention with your nose, your eyes, and your mind, you can grow anything. Because they're telling you, good, bad, humid, this, dry, too much light, not enough light, oh shit. They're talking to you every single day. I'm just a little bit hungry here, all things good. See you later. Oh shit, leaf train, what's going on? They're telling you the color, the edges, the tips, the stems, the posture. Just look. And then if you don't know what it is, there's somebody out here is going to know. These guys here may know. If they don't know, there's an internet. You can get anywhere. Hey, Google, what the, and ask. You realize that when we started growing, some of the people here, we couldn't even say the word, let alone research it online.
There was no online.
Exactly. So when you live and learn. Somebody taught you until you destroyed a few crops. You realize that maybe that guy who taught me wasn't so good either. You may find you're good at specific types of plants and not others. You got to get your hands dirty first to get in. It'll evolve, and if you're following your heart and your senses, you're like, I kind of like this way, and you pursue it.
That's great advice, because you guys out there, I know we've got a lot of experts in the audience, and we got beginners in the audience, and you got to be willing to fail, because the only way you're going to truly learn what happens or how you fix it is to figure it out yourself. I mean, you can get you really can, right? But looking at, I love that explanation. Look at the plants, let the plant tell you what it needs, and that sounds real simplistic, but if you start doing it, you're going to find out. If you're in soil, touch your soil every day. feel it. Feel how fast the plant's taking up nutrients and moisture. Yeah. Do the second knuckle test. Don't overwater them. But the thing is you got to be willing to fail. And I think that's what you were kind of saying there, wasn't it, Brendan? I mean, in other words.
And checking root temperature too. Go get a meat thermometer and stick it the same 2 inches into the ground, and also use that same meat thermometer. Pro tip: if you're out mushroom hunting for morels, porcinis, centrales, whatever, stick that in the ground right where you find them. Your local mycelium in that area will also spawn at very specific temperatures. So you can actually graph them out on an Excel sheet and actually know exactly when to harvest morels or porcinis or centrales. I'm really big on I used to teach foraging classes, but that also works for your cannabis plants. You're going to want to make sure that root temperature is ideal for the beneficial mycelium and mycorrhizae that are for that cannabis plant. The same stuff that we're trying to propagate with labs and compost teas and ferments. The mycorrhizal fungi in there. In your mycelium, that encompass that mycorrhizal fungi, those are really unique, and we've talked about other guests have talked about the different colors to make sure that your colonies and you're culturing them. If you're trying to culture root mycorrhizae or root mycelium, making sure that you have the right colors, you can tell beneficial from non-beneficial and all that under a microscope. If you have a microscope like I got.
Oh, we're showing off the microscope for him.
Nice microscope.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, yeah, man.
So, and then I have a travel microscope. Hold on. Got a travel scope here.
Travel scope.
A little baby scope. Oh, shit. That's just a beer can. Hold on. There you go. Little baby scope. That doesn't have a camera.
Cool, very cool. Awesome.
It's much easier to get on a carry-on versus this one, which is much more expensive. So, but this is the one I'll bring. Like if I go out to a farm and I want to make sure I have at least 1000x, so I can look at anything that I don't need oil suspension liquid for, this is good for. So like if I'm just doing basic bug stuff, and I don't want to I eventually want to get a better Dynalite, but if I don't want to use a Dynalite, this is next best thing. I have where is it? Hold on a second. It's on the table here. I have a mount for this. Yeah. Oh, here it is. I have a mount. So this just goes over this. Actually, this way. Slides over this. Okay, and then I can mount my cell phone to that, and I can actually take really high-grade pictures because my Pixel has a 12 megapixel camera, which is actually 2 megapixels better than my high-end camera. So I can take really nice pictures, even with my thing that it fits in a backpack. Like here's a, beer twisted tea can. It's maybe twice the size of a beer can. So it's great for throw it in your carry-on, go through the airport, and you have no problems. It's just plus if they happen to drop it or break it, TSA. This thing cost me, I think it was $58.
Oh, cool. That's great.
If it gets broken in transit, it's not the end of the world. But this was the one. There was somebody asked on PFA if this was a good microscope, and it was like $58 or $60, and I was like, you know what? For $60. I'll buy one and just find out if it's worth recommending. Because if it for $60, if it works, it's a great hey, here's a throwaway microscope that if something happens to it, or if you loan it to someone, they don't give it back. Whatever, it's $60, So, or if I'm going through airports all the time, I'm not risking a $700 microscope going through airports all the time. I'll risk a $60 microscope all day long. You know what I mean?
And that's good to let people know they can actually get in with an entry-level microscope, and get a lot of see a lot of things they never saw before. And
you can see microbes on the roots too. So like I was at a grow and they had some root issues, some fungi on the roots, and I was able to identify it. Not exactly the species, but I could tell what it was a fungal infection. We treat it with labs, and we were able to get rid of it in about 4 weeks. So
So you
from the
mycorrhizae with that, Steve?
Oh yeah, so we just flooded it. We hit it with labs, and it just plowed through it. And we couldn't detect it after about 2 weeks, and the plants healed. We're recovering real nicely after about 4.
Yeah. Okay. And on the subject of like things to buy, if you want to be able to dial in, like has been discussed on the show tonight, for one, you like Brendan was talking about leaf surface temperature, you have to have a digital thermometer, and you can get one of these for 60 to 80 bucks. Also, this one I think cost me 80 bucks. Does a great job. Very nice. Comes in a little. Oh, I had to throw it over here in my blind house. Okay. All right. It comes in a little carrying case, so you could with a strap that you can put it on your belt, so you can walk through your grow with it on your belt and all like that. And then invest a few bucks in a refractometer so you can measure the sugars of the plants too. You know, that'll give you more further diversity in what you can learn about them. And that kind of will tell you what the plant needs. If anybody would like to address that, I'm not an expert other than knowing that's great. And you can, you know, I'm more like I know it works and I can do it. But if somebody would like to explain that, or could somebody?
I'm sorry. Repeat the question. I was reading chat.
Explain about why it's important to have why in a refractometer would be important to have for your grow and measure your sugar, and why that's a viable thing to do.
So that's actually, I'll let Brendan could probably answer this question even better than I could.
I don't know if I'll better, but I'll try. Well, it comes down to the mind of the person behind it. Do they care enough to study enough to know what they're looking at is what they think it is? You know, so if you do find stuff under a microscope and you actually are that curious and you start learning who's who in the zoo down there, they're going to stick with it. They're going to get a better scope later. They're going to understand what the next level is. But if someone gets a scope and they just keep looking at their plants every day and going, yeah, this one, they need nitrogen this week. No, they need more calcium this week, just by watching their plants. They never touched a microscope. When do you touch a microscope? Usually when there's a problem. Now, you should be checking your stuff all along, but people generally only check when they think they see a problem. Well, if they have a problem, it's already there. So you have a microscope and you take the spore or whatever it is and you go, yeah, that's mold. By the time you could do that, you're already going to see it. So then you figure out that how do you treat, what's safe to treat the plants with that have spores on them, that you can rescue them and bring them back, or is it too far and you have to clean the whole room and clean the hell out of the place and hope that your filters be changed out. It still comes back to visuals, but yeah, you gotta measure. You gotta measure everything. If you're really serious about it, you got to know what you're looking at to identify it. Is it there for a reason? This is the parasite. How many do I see in a slide? That means what we have to deal with. If you're that level of nerd, some of us here are, you're going to do that. You're going to instinctively want to know more and study it. If someone's coming in going, well, how do you know what you know? It was a long road, a lot of bumps, a lot of curves, but I was willing to walk it. If you're really interested in this, you'll find a way to get there. If you kind of want to do it and it's cool, but not really your thing, you'll do it for a while and get away from it. We all can be good at this. Our species has been alive for a long time because there were people doing this, growing real stuff and being very attentive to it. That's in all of us somehow, somewhere. If you're a plant killer, it's either worse ADD than me or truly cursed of some kind. Because if you pay any attention to a plant and study that plant, someone gives me a plant and I go, well, what the hell is this? They give me a card with a name on it. I go, okay, I got some homework. I have to know what I'm supposed to do with this thing, because it might not like the same food as my tomatoes or my wheat. So I'm instinctively going to learn as much as I can about that. Its natural environment, what kind of soil or rock or does it grow in? What's the temperatures is it like? So I know I can be successful with that plant. If it's a shade plant, I can put it on the other side of the room. I can put it in a cooler corner of the room too. It's not going to care. But if I know what I'm looking at and I figure it out, I can then go deeper, learn more about it, and then see what it's related to, and it kind of pulls you in a bunch of directions. That's if you're willing to go there and your brain's open to that. If you just see a good plant, you want to go good weed, you have a few grows, you can already get a lot of the way there. It's when you get into fine tuning and really watching your plants that you start seeing what little differences make, little additions or subtractions make. And it's just how much you want to do. I know for many of the successful growers that they have a recipe, a formula they follow, a schedule they follow, and they get within 95% of that each time. Away it goes. That's what most people want. Some of us, I still want to learn more about it. There's got to be more we can figure out. And every few years, somebody comes up with something really cool. I go, whoa, didn't know that. Whoa, I didn't know that moment with my own other product, BioCat, more right now. Because what I thought I knew was scratching the surface. And I can answer most people's questions about this stuff. And I just scratched the surface, no pun intended. There's still more. There's still more. And it's got to get in here.
That gives people hope.
So much. And that's why I encourage people to really study the aquatic microbes and the compost teas and take pictures with, get a microscope or a camera mount for your cell phone like I have. So even if you so if somebody asked what this scope model number was, it's an AM scope. Hold on, I pulled it up. Give me a second. Here's my email. I just pulled this up in my email. AM scope 40X to 1000X all metal student cordless LED field microscope. You can also get the corded one. The corded one I think is around $60. There's a cordless one that's $76. It just has a battery on it. It takes AA batteries.
Is that the same one the lady uses? Sorry, Steve, I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you.
No. She likes the Dynalites, which are USB and you can plug into your phone.
Right.
But sometimes it's easier to actually use an actual microscope. Depending on what you're trying to look at. Sometimes the focus can get weird. Sometimes with the mounts and things, depending on the level of detail you need for what it is you're doing. Or it could just be fitting. Not even that it's weird. You can definitely do it. Just it's more pain in the ass to set up repeatedly. So if you can drop even $350 for the entry level Omax, that's going to be enough to get you going. You can always get better cameras for it later on. The hardware is going to be the same. You're only spending extra money for the cameras. So, and a lot of the camera mounts are for an adult camera are much better anyway. But yeah, it's an AM scope 40X to 1000X student LED field scope. If you're looking it up online, just so that again, super entry level. If you're looking for resources, I know there's a lot of stuff from Elaine Ingham online. Also microbeorganics.com. I'm hoping to get him on. I've talked to him twice in email. He was taking a break from doing interviews for a while. I'm hoping to get him on at some point by the end of the year. He's had I know his website I was referencing for compost tea probably 10, 15 years ago. When I very first learned about compost teas, he was the one site that I could use to look under a microscope and say, hey, this is what I think this is, or at least what roughly what group it is and what it might be doing, and hey, there's a lot of this and this is happening. So that was one of the first guides that I used to help identify what I was actually looking at under a microscope. So
yeah, that's key. Looking is great, but if you don't know what you're looking at and why it's there, that's when you get good.
And documenting it too, like writing down and taking pictures of what you took under a microscope and saying this is the inputs, this is the microbes. That's going to help you and everyone else learn. Depending on what it is you're working on.
Yeah.
Plus, to just see lots of cool, weird shit you never knew existed that all look like alien creatures. It's just fun. You could seriously sit there for hours and just watch the cool stuff in your soil or your aquaponic system or whatever. Like, it's not boring ever.
Steve, you do that? You play with the zoom layers too, so you can see the different species at different. Yeah.
And you actually watch what Steve's talking about. You're actually watching it evolve before your eyes over a period of time.
Well,
like you'll see a birth.
Layers of them and things and shapes and forms. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And once you start figuring out Well, I mean, and when you think you've got things identified, oh no, actually it was this one. So if you're inquisitive, it's a game that grows on you, and then you'll see like maybe a better scope. I can see some more stuff, and that one's that Steven mentioned at $360. I know 2 people who have them now, and I'm going to be the third because it's a damn good scope. You can really get clarity in that thing, and the difference is worth it to someone that really wants to know. If you bought your first car, you buy your brand new whatever you like, or do you get a used car and kind of figure out how it goes and then work your way up? If you're curious, you'll get to that better car immediately or over time. I think you should walk before you run. You take the small scope, you use it, you get a few layers deep in identifying things. If it triggers in you what it obviously triggered in the rest of us, you're going deeper.
I want more. I want to see more.
Not only that, so if you're a producer, say you're a cultivator, you get one of these bigger microscopes and then maybe one of these little ones for each grow room. And what you do as part of your scouting in the morning is you come in, you take plants from each one. They have a Ziplocs. You have like a different assignment of the plants they're going to pull from each day, and then maybe 10 that they just look for leaves that don't look right, or it's just something that looks out of place, and they take leaves off. They write the name and the number and the ID number for the plant on there with a Sharpie on the Ziploc. Now they're not spreading. If there's an insect now, it's sealed in a Ziploc. We're not spreading them around the room. Then we take it over to the table in the corner. We pull them out one by one, put them under the microscope, and actually see what the hell's going on. But I guarantee you, if you do that, you will find broad mites, you will find russet mites, you will find spider mites, you will find fusarium, you will find botrytis, you will find powdery mildew, way before it ever becomes visible on that plant, visually. And it is so much better. If you just go through and you have a rotation, every plant once a week's getting tissue sampled like that, you will not miss anything. As long as they're looking for places, maybe the top part of the plant, and maybe the middle part of the plant, or bottom part of the plant, or whatever you find it works best for your situation. But I find like that is ritual. But every single grower I work with, if I have a say in the matter, we're doing scoping every morning as part of scouting before we do anything. And maybe if you want to go mix up your newts for the day so that's brewing, or whatever you're doing, if you're mixing up compost teas or something, get that going. And then next thing is scouting. It should be first thing in the morning. It's more important than just about anything else you could do, because you want to find something immediately and mix it or go order the beneficials before it ever gets out of control, because russets and broads, man, once they're in there, they're rough to get out.
And as you said, usually it's not till we see it or smell it, and at that point it's already an infestation. If you have a scope and you know what you're looking at and you can identify that spore, you treat, then you've won. Because there's not enough of them, or depth of generations of them, to establish themselves, and you could handle them one way or another. I prefer not chemically, but yes, you can treat your plants with something to make that go away.
And it also means that you are definitely getting to treat it a lot easier. I mean, because even you may treat it later, but it's already taken over. You're really going to battle it and probably maybe lose. But if you get it at this point, when it's that small in a molecular size, you can get rid of it a whole lot easier with the right treatments. Yeah. Right? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And just being able to know how, like, for instance, if you find that you just have a couple of mites or something in just one far corner of a greenhouse, you can take yarn and burlap or other cloth that you want to use to wall off or act as a temporary barrier in your grow just at the canopy level, to deter insects from racing across that canopy without actually blocking light or anything like that. Just, acting as a scent barrier to keep them contained. Now, they won't work 100% of the time, but it will absolutely make it so that you won't end up with an infestation that starts in one area and races across the room. You can string the yarn with garlic oil or tea tree oil. Both insects really hate them. I used to use a product called Garlic Barrier, which is tea tree oil and garlic oil on like huge trees and shrubs for moths and and all kinds of other tree insects, and it works really well. But you can use that same thing without applying it directly to the canopy. If you, again, just soak cloth or other, yarn or other things, string them through the canopy or hang them as a barrier in between the plants as like a corral, and then you can hit that area, release your beneficials into that area, and it keeps them kind of penned in, so that they work more efficiently in that area. And you're obviously going to have to treat the whole room, but you can hit that one area a lot harder without having to worry about freaking out or having to directly, apply something directly to the plants quite so heavy, as a way again to help do things more organically. Alrighty. Any other questions for Brendan before we let him go? If not, I think we'll wrap up the interview a little earlier than usual, just because I gotta finish packing. I got another day and a half or so.
Thank you for all that information, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was a beautiful journey tonight, up and down and around the mountain about all this stuff. It was great. Yeah. Always super pleasure to have you on the show too, Brendan. I wish you dropped by even more, man, because you stimulate the conversation, my friend.
We all learn this, man. So if it becomes an open conversation and the ideas are flowing on people thinking on the same topics, it's very easy to do. I don't mind answering questions. I've always done that.
How do people find out more about Grow More and all that?
BioCat.us is for BioCat Solutions, where you get more from, no pun intended. And obviously, if we're talking about lighting, SpectrumPLED.com, right there. I can be reached to any of these places. If it's a grow question, I have plenty of people send me grow questions to Spectrum King. I don't care whether you get me here or there or somewhere else and say, hey, or in the hallway or in the damn elevator. I'll answer the question, because I was so frustrated when I started because I couldn't even ask any questions. And I thought, wouldn't it be so effing cool if I just didn't do these 17 things that I screwed up? We didn't even know there was male and female plants. We just used the album cover to roll it and roll the seeds through it and get them out of the way. This has been an education all the way through. And just when I thought I knew something, I'm learning a whole new game. So it's awesome that my own curiosity is based on the improvement of plants everywhere. I'm like, how is this happening? And how can we take this to help other parts of the world that are not doing so well? So you start learning all these layers, and going back to the scope there, by having a scope that can measure a bigger range, you get a massive diversity of microbial life, and you start learning a whole lot more about how everything works in the real world, besides us. It's pretty cool. It's obviously gets me talking because I like it, so I'm going to keep
Sid from chat says Jacob from Grow More is smart as fuck.
What?
Jacob from Grow More is smart as fuck, I think he said.
That's not me, so I don't know who that was. I'm just a dumb fuck with glasses on trying to look smart.
Well, what were your cohorts from Britain's name?
Catch it.
Oh, what were your cohorts' names?
My cohort?
Yeah, with Grow More.
Well, we are a diverse crew. Obviously myself. You got Jasper. You got Hugo. You got bodies behind us.
Cool.
It's a fun thing. I like learning, and my quest to see why plants work and how to get them better hasn't stopped. Speeding up with all the new things happening in the world. And when I found out what this product was, my mind was blown. And what I thought I knew about microbial life was wrong. Now I've got to go back and learn even more, which I'm okay with it, because it's so complex that you always learn something new. Keeps it interesting. If we knew everything about what we were doing, I'd be bored shitless after 2 runs. Like, now what do I do? I can automate this, get some guys in there and go do something else. That it's evolving, that we're finding ways to improve flavor, aroma, yields, quality, fight disease without chemicals, improve soils, rejuvenate things. More active biodiversity gives you better terpenes. I mean, it's all intertwined. You can't learn one side of it. At least I can't. I have to know, I made this light to get this result from this plant. Combined with the environment it's in, the soil it's in, and what we put in the soil. So it's everything, no matter how I look at it, it feeds everything else I already do. My curiosity doesn't get stopped. So if you have this level of nerd in you and you want to know, you're going to keep going. You're going to keep figuring out. And just when we thought we knew something, a new breakthrough, I don't take that as a setback at all. I take that as a brave new world or something. Now let's find out about this world. Just that's what it's like to get to the next step with plants, or with anything else you're going to do. You know, if you're going to become the best video game programmer in the world, you're not going to buy an Atari 64. Yet, if you understood from Atari 64 to the best games, you would be able to make the next best game, because the evolution of it and every phase of it is just as important as the end result.
That's right.
Yeah. So you'll be drawn to it. It's inherent. I don't think, I may have said it in a different way, but every person here is involved for these qualities in them.
And I don't think I've ever seen so many people and talking about buying and actually buying microscopes. So it's really cool part of the cannabis growing knowledge base is that we're going into, we're finally getting into the whole picture, about the below the soil is where it's at. As Chris Trump said, we should turn the pictures upside down and show the root zone at the top, and the plant is just something that evolves because of what you do in the root zone.
Yep.
Absolutely. The other thing I think too is a lot of people, like I was talking about earlier with the nutrients, being afraid of mixing their own newts and getting away from the baby bottles. And I think a lot of people are almost afraid of microscopes. They're like afraid that they're not gonna understand how to use it, or they're not gonna understand what they're looking at. And that's fine. That's why we have the internet. You can take pictures and then post them, and we'll help you figure it out. Like, and if I don't know, somebody else will know, and if I don't know, somebody else will know. That's what we're all here for. So that's why I really encourage everybody, especially if for nothing else, buy a cheaper and one for scouting for insects. Like it is invaluable.
And it's not hard to use a microscope either. It's really not.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Well, why don't you tell one last time how to connect with you and what your websites were?
BioCat.us, Brendan at BioCat.us for the more stuff from BioCat Solutions, or Brendan at SpectrumKingLED.com for any LED lighting questions you have. If you want to ask more questions, I don't care either side, I'll answer them. If I know, I'll gladly say it right away. If I don't know, I'm going to try to find out. I don't get stumped often, but it does happen, and I enjoy it. So bring it on if you have it.
And Brendan knows his shit. Him and I get along real well. We race through all kinds of complicated problems in about 5 minutes and find out new ones, and it's fun. So we have good times together.
It's uncanny how quickly, when Stephen and I are in the same room, just left alone to our devices, how quickly we come to solve all kinds of complex stuff that we could not do individually. And the ease it comes with is just like cogs in a wheel, like we're hitting the gears, just meshing, just so, and it's just going. And then we're like, we haven't eaten in 7 hours. We probably should do something about that. Because it's just firing. Oh yeah, notes and nice ideas. And were they all home runs? No, but there was a whole lot of them.
Oh yeah. So hopefully come November, December, we'll be ready to show off one.
Yes.
Cool.
That we're not talking about yet, but you guys will keep your fingers crossed.
More secrets on the Growing and Fishing Show.
Right.
Come more later.
So, well, thanks a lot for joining us. You're an awesome guest as always. If you guys aren't familiar, please go check out his previous episodes of Spectrum King. He broke down a hell of a lot of different lighting science in the first 2 or 3 episodes, like everything you could think of. It was episode 99, episode 30 something, and episode like 50 or 60 something. I think are the episodes that you guys are on, but just 2 to 3 hours ago, even if you decide that you're a little bit out of the price range of Spectrum King, they drop so much knowledge, depending, even if you're not interested or you already have grow lights and you're wanting to understand more about what you have, you will learn so much. But definitely, if you're looking for grow lights, definitely check them out. They do make the best ones. We just got a whole bunch for our grow out that we're using, so be sure to check them out. They're the best ones that we've had, and we've had people on the podcast do side by sides and talk about it live on the air, with the test results. So it's not just hocus pocus. We'll actually be doing a big side by side, and in a couple of months, or about 2 months, we'll be doing a big side by side with a bunch of different lights that we'll be doing video content on and everything, and we'll show you guys live whatever happens and what the test results are. But I'm willing to bet money on which one I think is going to win right now. I'll put it that way. and
I would bet with confidence on my light too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and so anyways, thanks so much for coming on. You're more than welcome to stick around. If not, take care, and I appreciate all you do.
I'm going to feed the mighty Bluto and 95 pounds of happy now. Good, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Love you, brother.
What's new with you, Grow, Roger?
Oh, same old, just plunging along in flower, and I doing some pruning last night. It's the last pruning I'll do. Well, I mean not the last, but before the last I'll do before the near the finish when I mess around a little bit. Did a little super cropping last night. Because I'm not a big topping kind of guy. I'm more I like super cropping idea because I accidentally came across it years ago, and that in turn led to my first plant that I grew a pound out of indoors, and so I kind of said, "Wow, this is interesting. What happened to the plant when I broke the top over?" And it formed a big knuckle, and then I had 9 colas that all weighed 5 ounces wet. So that turned out to be a pretty good yield overall, because when you trim all the secondary buds and whatever, yeah, it turned out real nice. So that's where I'm at. I'm also I've got my all my citrus trees and my dwarf banana plants are doing great. My passion fruit's starting to take off. My coffee plant is just started to stretch. Like I call it stretching because it looks like a cannabis plant stretched. All of a sudden, there's like these shoots coming.
Roger, you inspired me to get some fruit trees, Roger.
Some what, banana trees?
I went and got lemon and orange.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd you buy it from?
Home Depot. They were Mother's Day things. They were out, and they were out front. And I looked, and I walked by, and I had no idea that those lemon trees smelled so amazing. It's a lemon bush. It's really small. Like, I don't know. It's like a Meyer, probably some hybrid of little dwarf thing. But I had no idea they smelled that good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's real nice to have citrus around anyway, because you can use citrus in so many things for your plant. Also, they make.
I'm looking forward to it. So you'll have to teach me.
Well, I'm kind of learning myself, but I mean, I do have a nice place to grow stuff like that where it should grow. And I got a blood orange, a key lime, and a Myers lemon, and I got it from Fast Growing Trees, which actually is in Carolina also, which is what I thought was cool. I mean, I literally got this awesome play. I wanted some border trees.
Could we graft? Could we like share some grafts and maybe graft on, make a fruit cocktail tree?
Well, you know what? Whenever I get them more mature, where they're actually dry, then you can start maybe doing grafting. I wouldn't want to mess with them now at such a young age, but I'm not an expert on grafting. I know how to do it, but I would say that mine are all young. Mine are all like 2 feet tall.
Well, yeah, mine are just in little pots. Mine are dwarfs.
Yeah.
Mine are dwarfs, anyways. I don't really know, honestly.
They're probably not dwarfs. They're probably just young because a lemon tree is a tree. It stands about 8 to 12 feet tall, and then provides fruit. And your branches are probably about 4 feet off the ground when it's mature and producing.
I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to you in chat.
Yeah, we could do that later. Yeah, that'd be great. But yeah, we're loving our trees, our citrus stuff, and I'm really I really can't wait till I have my own coffee beans and I can dry and dry them out and or roast. I don't know what I got now. I have to research like Brendan said. Now I got something else I got to learn now, or I won't be able to sleep. What do you do once you have coffee beans? And then but it'll be cool. Whenever it is next year or the year after, when I get to harvest coffee beans and drink coffee of something that I grew, that's going to be, and with a K&F method too. So I'm kind of going with the K&F, but I'm not sure if I'm going to put them in the ground or not, and that's another story for another day. But I got them in 20-gallon cloth pots right now. I got them in I filled with Pro Mix and some manure, and I put them in there, and I'm just letting them settle in and adapt. And then I'm gonna either put them in big boxes, like 3 or 4 foot, like just their own planter, like 3 by 3 or whatever planter above ground, because I'm gonna I actually have. I don't want to get I'm not sure if they'll survive as well. When it rains real hard here, we get flooded a little bit, or they're standing water in the yard for a while. I mean, it'll drain off if it stops raining, but if it rains for 2 or 3 or 4 days, there's places in the yard that are under an inch or 2 of water. And I don't want to put them and subject them to that. So I'm thinking about building a box, a 3 by 3 or 4 by 4 box, and putting a nice little rock culture and some rocks and stuff like that in the bottom to give it a really fast drain at the very bottom, and then fill it up with some really good I think I'm going to go back in the back and just dig out of my forest and just add that grass, that for dirt, like that soil, which has already got all kinds of microbial stuff going in, and try it out, and then inject it with labs and fermented plant juice and stuff like that, and yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm kind of behind on the greenhouse. Help didn't show up again this week as they promised. They were I'm so gung ho, yeah, I really want to do it, and then they didn't show up, so I never got around to the greenhouse. I've been mowing a lot of grass though. When you got a couple acres, and you're by yourself, there's always grass to be mowed. So, but thanks for asking, and it's great to see all you guys out there in chat. It was a really active chat tonight. It was fantastic, and Brandon is always great. I didn't even catch that, with the way you put the description in the offline to tell us about it. I didn't even understand. I didn't realize that. And then when he came on and he had shaved, I was like, "What? Who the hell is that?" But as soon as you all told me and we started talking, you knew who it was. It's just that first time I saw him like that. It made his mama happy for Mother's Day. That was sweet. Shaved his beard from mama. I thought it was because it's summertime, but he said it's for Mother's Day. So that's it. So what's going on with you, Tara? I mean, besides what?
Well, I just did all that, and then I'm making plans to head to the Cultivation Classic, which I've never been, so I don't even know what to expect. I just booked a hotel today earlier, so I don't know. I've never been there, so we'll see down in Portland. So I'm gonna hopefully do a few lives now that I can go live on my phone. I don't know. Maybe do interviews with some people in the booth. I don't know what to expect, so who knows?
Do it all.
I don't know.
Have fun.
If anybody has any suggestions, hit me up. Let me know. I don't know if you're going there. You want to hit me up. Hey, yeah, I'd love to hang with you. I'd love to meet up if you're going. That'd be awesome. I'd totally hang out. So I'll have some rosin and some dabs.
Oh, yeah. I remember I ambushed you with like a bunch of friends at like some asinine hour, and we dabbed out. It was like you, me, Wayne, Justman, Laura, and some other people. It was fun.
Yeah, bombarded my room. Oh my gosh. 2 nights in a row.
Right?
My poor roommate's trying to sleep over there, and we're up dabbing.
Partying, yeah.
I can just see Steve going to the party, the ringleader, you know. Let's go knock on Tara's door. She's got something good.
I'm the worst at that. Yep. The guy who's up.
Party's hard, man.
You.
Whew. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
What do you go, Tara?
Pardon?
Anything else new with your grow?
I just have the seeds that I popped, the beans. That's all I'm doing, and just nursing the clones that I have, the 4 clones. The clones that I got, or the cuttings I got for Josh, I just decided to ditch those because I have a whole bunch of others start, and I'm only allowed to grow so many here, right? So I can't have that many. So I'm like, you know what? I need to just be done with those, and like I'll just go with these. So because I had some little bug problems, so we decided that'd just be better to just start new. So that's all we're doing. Yeah.
Good call. Good call. And Steve,
we've been going through a list of about 170 cultivars to figure out what's going to work best for the dispensary and for the cultivation.
Well, dude, I saw that list you have. Is that the list, or you have others? Man.
No, I have others.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have, between me and a couple of the other guys that have seeds that have been collecting that are on the project, it's kind of crazy. Like what we have to work with. And like what's on the list is stupid. So, and then plus what all the amazing things with the wonderful people at the regenerative conferences,
yes.
all the seed training and everything. So we have hell of a deep list of stuff to grow, and there's some rarer stuff like the Reunion Island. We're going to back cross that so I can give those seeds out, and we're going to back cross a couple of the weirder landrace stuff just so that we have pure stuff, so I have stuff to distribute to people, so that maybe we can trade with people to get some other good stuff, and try to preserve some of that rare stuff, especially with everyone getting all crazy with patents and all this. We've covered Phylos and the other crazy stuff recently. We need to make sure we have pure lineages like that, or at least as much as we're able to. So we'll be definitely dedicating some space in our nursery just for that as well.
Yeah, saving those landrace genetics is real important right now.
Yeah. And thank you. Yeah, hashtag regenerative. Thank you. Hashtag regenerative. The conference, you guys, shout out. Dutch Blooms was here earlier. He jumped out. He's busy. He's a tractor, man. He's trying to get a tractor in this place. The dude he can't even text me right now. He's so busy. So yeah. Shout out to Dutch Blooms. Thank you. Hashtag regenerative, and check out the conference. They've got the schedule, I think's out, guys, right? For next year and everything online. Or
kind of. If he's got the website yet, or if you didn't, you have to find out. But
okay.
You can find more information on next year's conferences. I know the first one won't be till January. You have a little bit.
Vancouver is the first one.
Is it the first one? I don't remember what the first one is.
Well, so I can address that, because what we were told is that it was Vancouver, Humboldt, Hawaii, and then they didn't know whether it was going to be Portland, Maine, or somewhere in Massachusetts, and then they were going to go back to Michigan again. And
Spain is in there somewhere.
Well, that's a new one I hadn't heard of. Is that from Josh and Kelly, Spain? Did it come through Tempure?
From Josh Blooms. That we're going to do something with.
Wow.
Working on something. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say something yet, but
well,
right, I already said
he's been open about that. I'm sure he won't mind. It's just we're blowing up a great conference, though. Incredible conference.
We're going to do something around Cannabis right before or after, I think, is the plan. So.
Ooh, I might be able to get my company goes to Cannabis from Amsterdam.
Seriously? I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, seriously?
So we'll have to find. Yeah, I gotta find out the details on that. But maybe I may or may not have supposed to say something. If I wasn't supposed to say something, sorry, Josh.
Whoops.
Good job.
But I think he said something about
fake news.
Well, stay tuned and don't get your hopes up. But possibly it could be an incredible journey.
Yeah. So, and I know. Lots of the things are going on.
So did you already announce yours?
So Josh and I are teaching a class on June 6th through 9th, commercial aquaponic cannabis class on a DENPure certified soil farm. We will be building a giant aquaponic system at Josh's farm, and we'll be going over construction, hands-on, with cultivation. We have people flying up from Uruguay and Brazil that are coming up to take this class. So we have people coming in from all over. It's going to be a really awesome class. And again, if you're looking to learn hands-on, we'll have both slide decks and hands-on experience. We're going to do everything from germination, cloning, hash making, IPM, veg, flower, anything you can think of, we'll be able to cover. We have multiple thousands of plants on the property that you can take a look at. So it will be in Burlington, Washington. Or I'm sorry, Bellingham, Washington. So.
And this is
information.
Bellingham and by Birch Bay, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. So
beautiful.
So you can find more information on commercialapmjclass.com.
Right. That's APMJ for commercial, AP aquaponics, MJ for marijuana class. So to clarify that, because I had to look at that a few times. And something else Steve didn't touch on, Josh has got a no-till, hugel beds. He's got no-till, farm with big greenhouse and outdoor beds. So and he's already said he's going to open that up, and y'all will be able to, if you go there, you'll be able to converse with him and Steve. Yeah, on the property with all those different techniques aside, even though it's an commercial aquaponic class, you'll have that at your disposal to learn from too. So it's going to be like just a big old bunch of dessert going on over there,
Yeah, and he was talking about extractions and other stuff that they're talking about doing as well. And then he's also talking about a hash bash. That's sometime in late, going to be kind of like Croctober or harvest time. So just so you know that's what's going on. Anything else, guys, that you mentioned?
He's going to have bands.
Starting next week, we'll have a lot more content. I'll have a lot of video live from the commercial build out. I've been stuck doing a bunch of multiple projects, but my schedule is going to free up a lot more come next week. So second half of next week, we'll start having a lot more content from the build out of the greenhouse and construction and what's going on. We can take lots of pictures for the book I'll be releasing at the end of the year. And lots of other cool content. We'll have lots of cool stuff on different cultivars, germinating different stuff. We'll have a lot more of the how-to videos will be coming back with a vengeance. We'll be doing a lot more like single content videos, like short, I'm going to try and get back to 5 days a week of putting out video content. I got a whole little research lab all set up here next week, the week after, that we can start cranking content out of and stuff like that. So, the quality of the content on the channel should start to go up a lot next week or the week after once I get finally settled. So
it's okay. We all understand. We all know.
We'll have our trusty background wherever we go.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, replace it with something better, but it's quite a while. Many hotel rooms in different places.
Oh my God.
Thanks for bringing all the great guests on, Steve, and thanks for the opportunity to be a part of your show. And Roger, I really appreciate it. It's been great, and thanks for the info tonight.
Yeah, and actually, hold on. Let me make sure I get the names right. I'll tell you who's on Thursday. Just had it pulled up. Damn it, and I closed it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. It'd be nice to know who's on Thursday and next week. We could start thinking about that. Or like to research it. So that'd be
next week. But we have Q Grows and JR Token are going to be on from Cannabis on Thursday.
Whoa! I've heard of JR Token before.
Yeah, Cannabis is like a cannabis-friendly alternative to Instagram. And they're doing a lot to support the community when everyone else is kind of abandoning it, and they're not bending anybody over on ad revenue or anything. They're not trying to steal data from your phone. They're not trying to steal your text messages and all the other crazy stuff. I thought it'd be fun to bring them on. I just saw them out at the DGC Cup, and a big, JR Token's been on the show before. He's a medical patient. He just got through his cancer surgery and everything like that. So he's going to be talking both on cannabis and cancer, as well as cannabis. So it's going to be a really good episode next on Thursday, and one to look forward to. So, alrighty, you can catch. Watch everybody how to find you, Roger.
Well, you can find me at ilovegrowingmarijuana.com. I've got a Roger Latewood at Facebook, which I prefer because I'm legally blind. Instagram is fairly useless to me, but I do have a Roger Latewood at Instagram. A lot of people have been following me, although there's really no way to converse unless you're commenting on a picture, the best way I can describe it. So I like Facebook, where we could actually, if somebody wants to communicate with me, at least we can private message there, and then I can give you a better way to get on a hangout to talk to me privately.
You can on Instagram. If you go to the homepage in the top right corner, there's a little arrow. If you click that, you can actually DM people, direct message.
I'll try that again, because everybody's tried to show me that, and it doesn't seem to, for some reason, I don't. It's like tonight you didn't have the control to raise the microphone. When I go over there, I can't message anybody. I used to be able to post. I can't even figure out anymore. There's no option for me to post, really. I don't know what happened. I posted a couple videos.
There might be a how-to YouTube video for that.
Yeah. Well, I posted a couple videos, that I Michigan, but we'll talk about that later. Sorry, guys.
Mr. Green Jeans had the duck out, but you can find out more information at greenjeansgarden.com. And Josh from Dutch Blooms had to duck out a little bit early. He's from regenerativeorganiccannabis.com.
Right.
And Tara, why don't you tell people how to find you?
Tara Lee Live on YouTube, and hopefully Tara Lee Live on Instagram now. Hopefully I figured that out. So hopefully y'all can find me, Tara Lee Live.
I love it. Living in the Northwest going, y'all. I hope
going live.
Home girl from Georgia or something.
I went live in the sand dunes. I tried to do my 360 camera last week. It didn't go so well, so I'm going to keep at it. So we'll see.
And you can find out more on me on potentponics.com, Potent Ponics on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, all the different places. So, all right, you can check us out again on Thursday. Be sure to check out the commercial aquaponic cannabis class, commercialapnjclass.com. And we will see you guys again in about 48 hours. Take care.
Woo!